But thank you so much. It's a pleasure. What an honor to have such a distinguished panel. And then I say, okay, I would love to have these four people talk about this. Let's start with Seema ma'am. She has built Heritage School Kolkata for 20 years. And I've been at her institution. The passion with which you showed me and Swati your school around, even the playground, how you designed that playground was amazing. So I'm pretty sure even if I don't have the questions for you, you have not read the questions, you are going to do a fabulous job of whatever I'm going to ask you. So building institutions that outlast their founders, leadership, culture, and legacy. School education, I think one of the buzzwords is how do we build culture? Any training program that I go to, they talk about culture. And unfortunately, I think a lot of the times I miss that they are all talking of bigger things. ये बड़ा करते हैं, ये बड़ा सोचते हैं. I think all four of you, what I learned after visiting your institutions and your partnerships, you are actually doing the small things first right. You want to do the small things first right. I tell my students, don't aim for XYZ big shots. Just start doing your day, planning your day better, and then things will start moving. So, let's start with Dr. Saini. His own journey. Being a commander in Navy, and then doing a PhD, and then setting up Scottish High International School for all the right reasons, working in the space for last decades, has brought laurels to not only the community that he represents, the school, but the nation. Amazing things you have built, sir. So what was your thought? As a chairman, how do you ensure that an institution vision is embedded in systems and governance? And what are your take on this subject, building institution? Please, over to you.
Thank you, Ankur, for the introduction. The obvious answer to these questions, which people think how legacy can outlast a particular person, the obvious answers are, succession planning and strategy, vision, mission, procedures, policies, build it into the system, etc. I feel founders like, let's say, Swati and Pratham, who got a revolutionary idea of getting Wharton out here and, get the best of everything here and learning by doing, is something which is new in this country. I didn't hear of such a university ever in India in the last 22 years in education. Similarly, all of us here have visions, and that's how we build our institutes. But if you have all these things, like you rightly said, fancy mission statements and vision statements, and make it a corporate strategy plan for a company or a school, push in policies and procedures. So as long as you are around personally, probably you may be able to kind of influence and make it happen. But it doesn't outlast you. The moment you go, moment Pratham goes, Swati goes, systems will not last. So I firmly believe that they would only last with one thing. And that is changing the chromosome of your organization. We say, that, you like father, like daughter, good orator, good cook like your mother, like that. Because it's there, it's genetic. So we have to change the genes of your organization. The chromosome has to change. Then if it's an Ankur or a Kartikay or a Rohit, it doesn't matter. And how do you do that? It's only by doing, by action. I'm an inclusion ambassador for many years for my country. And if I was to talk of inclusion and diversity being a culture of equity, being a culture of my organization, and I have one autism awareness, week, a year, it's not going to happen. But if you have a year-round whole school engagement of disability, inclusion, equity, diversity, and it's happening in every which way. So all your systems, procedures, rules, regulations, all are put into action. So the day you have a succession, that part remains as a culture. And any new leader coming in becomes a part of that particular ecosystem. So in short, it takes long. Masters Union was not built in a week. Neither was Scottish High or heritage or pathways. So what is inside that is unique. And to preserve it, you got to have a very strong genetic system. Build your own chromosome.
Thank you so much. Yes, we can have a round of applause. I mean, building your own chromosome and having that DNA set up that even if tomorrow, I move out or Swati is not here or whoever, is not here, still the system has to go on. I think putting that process and ethos, and then it goes back to what I was starting with, the culture of that institution that outlasts the founder. I mean, that's the thing. Thank you so much, Dr. Saini. Seema ma'am, over to you. I mean, your 2 cents on this subject. I mean, what are you trying to, what will you evaluate building an institution with, especially with your context of heritage for last 20 years? We just recorded a podcast where you had so many good things to say. Why don't you take some of those things here of when you joined heritage? I mean, the quotation that I read on your website is amazing. The book that you referred to me is amazing. If we can talk about that.
So thank you, Ankur, and thank you, Dr. Kartikay Saini. See, he's been very fortunate because he has started that school so he can change the genetic model in his school. I'm an employee of a school. I can't possibly do that. However, but I'm very happy that you said that and you are trying to do that in your school, which you can. I have to train somebody. I have to make sure before I leave, there is a succession plan in order. And what Ankur is talking about right now is about a book that I read, which is The Culture Code by Daniel Coyle. And there is one paragraph from there which talks about starlings, that they make a shape and there are thousands of starlings flying together. And if a falcon comes anywhere near them, so there's the change in the shape immediately, and thousands of starlings away, this one starling understands and it sensitizes the others. And they all know that there's a falcon trying to attack it. So they change the shape immediately and it's called murmuration. So what we try and do is, this is what I would like to say, this is not my thinking, this is not my idea. This is an idea I've picked up from Daniel Coyle, and I thought if we could do something like that and make sure that when we are in a room, we argue about everything. As the principal, I am not always right. We have to take the decisions collectively and make sure that each one of us has a say so that everybody owns it when we move out of the office. And it's not that, this decision has been taken, please ask the principal, she's done it. So it's you who own it and say, well, this is our decision, we've taken the decision and we go by it because we firmly believe this is the best for our school. So if this murmuration happens amongst us and if we look at each other and we immediately understand what we are trying to tell each other, I think we've done, the culture code is done. Thank you.
I have not heard a better articulation of building a culture than this murmuration concept. I ordered the book right away when I read on your website and I said, what a beautiful concept. If you attack one of those birds, then the entire flock changes direction, because attack on one is taken the attack on the community. So beautifully, ma'am, thank you so much. That's why I told you, you don't need any questions. I mean, you have already sorted this out. Thank you so much. May I now invite another legendary principal, Dr. Aditi. I mean, amazing work that you have done. For years, I have not known Dr. Aditi at DPS Sector 45. She was recently honored with a doctorate in US. We should congratulate her. I mean, the work that she is doing is phenomenal for years. And I also had the honor, I have recorded podcast with all 4 of you. So I know you intimately, your own journeys of how you came to teaching, how inspiring it is that you left so many things and you chose teaching yourself. This is what I want to do. So, ma'am, I mean, please talk about, I mean, this subject. I mean, you can I mean, actually, you got an honorary doctorate on this. I mean, writing a thesis is not easy, not difficult for you, but just say 5 minutes on how do you build an institution. Now, actually, you're building many institutions. I mean, you have recently become the director, school director for Dharav schools, DPS Sector 45, DPS International. I mean, the mandate is increasing. I mean, the brighter the person, the more responsibility is given to that person. So we are so happy that you are able to contribute to the education community in country. Please, over to you.
Thank you, Ankur. And it's always great to hear my friends, both of them. Um, when you are building an institution, you're not doing it yourself. It's not for yourself, it's not by yourself. So it's always a lot of stakeholders. And it's always been my attempt to not just have the stakeholders which are inside the school, which is students and teachers, but also involve parents. So when all the stakeholders come together, and this very nebulous thing which you call culture, you can't define it. You feel it. You absorb it. You imbibe it. I can't teach it. So when you talk about culture, it's about the way people are welcomed into the school. It's about the way I get up for anybody who comes into my room and I welcome them. The children learn by seeing all of that. So even the most illogical and the most angry parent simmers down when I welcome him with my very cultured smile. And that has trickled down to everybody. And when you make a decision, when you're bringing in some change, everyone has to buy in. Because like Asima says, you're not supposed to know it all. I don't know it all. There are so many things I don't know at all. So I like to sit with a larger group and I throw the idea, the problem to them. Sometimes I would know the answer, but in a very Machiavellian way, I want the answer to come from the group so that it doesn't seem like I have told them what to do. But in the other cases where I don't know what is to be done, we get brilliant ideas even from children. I've had some amazing conversations with children and teachers sitting together, and there is a problem in front of us and the solution has come from kids. So this is a culture which is built over the years. It carries on generationally through a physical DNA, not the one that we have in our chromosomes, but when one child talks to his brother or sister who's entering the school, that we don't do this in our school. This is not part of our culture. It goes down to the neighbor who they're suggesting join DPS because it's a great school and they do not allow this and they really encourage this. So that intangible culture is passed on by word of mouth, by practice, and by everybody believing in it. That's my take on building a great institution.
No, yes, we can have a round of applause. I mean, that intangible, I mean, how do you define culture? I mean, sometimes not measurable. And I think it goes back to what you said. It's the word of mouth of what the other two people are talking about who you are. And it's job of the institution leader, I mean, high school principal in this matter, to set that culture and set that bar for others to follow. Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Aditi, for doing that. Now I move on to another star, Captain Rohit Singh Bajaj. I mean, his own journey from the army to education, from Lawrence School, Sanar, Doon School, and then Oak Ridge in Hyderabad, and then being with the Pathway School, one of the groundbreaking institutions of the country. Amazing energy. I mean, all those culture things that we talk about, you are living examples of all that. And Captain Rohit Singh Bajaj is again a dear mentor to me. Thank you so much, sir, for being here. I mean, what would you say? I mean, your own experience of building institutions across your lifetime.
You got me on the spot, Ankur. I have to say that I'm just, very humbled. Sitting here with Dr. Commander Kartikay, Dr. Aditi, Seema ma'am, and somebody who I really value is Ankur as well. Extremely charismatic set of people. When I'm in their presence, the energy flows, barriers break. If the DNAs could change, they would change. If the chromosomes had to change, they would change. Enigmatic people. But each one of them, the story that we've just heard here, And what I've gathered in the last few minutes from each and every one of them, and hearing Ankur's story as well, when we think about building institutions, we really talk about not just the presence, what Sir mentioned about succession planning. I wouldn't talk about succession planning, but I would really talk about having clarity, building capacity, and from where I come from the services, a calling to education, I truly believe that the most important role of my leadership, which I perceive, is to nurture every child who's in my care, is to develop every teacher, is to mentor the many leaders who I interact with. And then there are families who you've got to inspire as well, to ensure that the world that we are creating is a better place to live in. And how do we do that? So while vision statements are there, and as a true Fauji like Sir here, I know what matters to him. I know what matters to me. I know what matters to us and what matters to all of us here. Is a purpose, is people, and the practices that we follow through. Many times when I walk into my office and taking out what Professor Ankur has just said about building institutions, when I walk into my office and I'm at a stage where there's news about pathways, and I always wonder, so it's a very pertinent question that you actually put forward for me. And I always wonder that the Lord's blessed me with a chair. And what if that chair is an empty chair? Who would it matter to? What difference would it make? Would excellence stall? Would continuity halt? Would decisions that we take become more difficult? What difference would it make? And that relates me to really thinking that while you may be a leader, but it is your responsibility to develop leaders who can take decisions even in your absence. The continuity must continue. When I look back at early morning at 8 a.m. in the morning, I see children coming in with their parents. Some children are in early years. Some children are for the first time in grade 4. Some children grade 10. And there's one graduating ceremony for those children. And my message as a leader really, when we speak about building institutions, I truly believe in human flourishing. Again, as what Sir mentioned, that it's not a strategic document which needs to be documented and put in a place or to be highlighted in a wall. Human flourishing is really about building intellectual capacity. It is about emotionally being grounded, ethically responsible, and being purpose-driven. And when we speak about that purpose-driven aspect of any student, how do we really go about, or of a teacher that we deal with, or of a leader that we have in our schools, because everyone is a leader? It's about clarity. I remember doing a workshop and taking my teachers. Just stop me if I'm talking too much.
No, it's perfect. I mean,
So, sometimes
we can spend a couple of minutes.
Okay, fine. I'll take another 2 minutes. So, just 2 months back, I'd taken all my staff for a retreat. And the first question that we asked there was that, are we really managing schools, or are we leading children, teachers, families What are we doing? And I figured out in those 2 days of the retreat, when we were talking about roles and responsibilities, bringing clarity to what you were supposed to be doing and what your responsibilities in a school is, which comes in with accountability. I figured out that, not I, we collectively figured out that it's not really about accountability that matters. It's more about ambiguity. It's about uncertainty. So that was one clear indication of building from clarity to the capacity of human flourishing, where we show the direction to everybody who is under our care. And finally, my last thought, again, we are all here and we speak about institutional leadership. I think that's your prime question.
Yeah.
And that always makes me feel that what's the legacy of leadership? So the legacy of leadership is not the permanence of your presence, but it's the permanence of the purpose that you ensure that you bring it with clarity and build capacity on it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. I mean, we can have a round of applause. I'd love to have another round, but the timing that we have is very limited. So, but thank you so much for that, those ideas. I mean, human flourishing, I think that's, again, having visited your school and been in your office, interacted with the students and staff. I mean, you can see those, as Aditi ma'am said, I mean, you can't, it's not tangible, but you can see it in all the interactions that you have at your institution. So thank you to all four of you for building those institutions and guiding us and inspiring us.